Hey, good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in one moment. So I'm gonna let everybody get loaded up into the Zoom app. All right, good morning, everybody. We are going to jump in and get started. So I see Mark says he can't hear. So can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Those are the panelists. All right. Mark, it might be on your speaker end. But we want to thank everybody for being here for this special webinar with our community partners. I'm excited to see the attendees we have. We have a few people from the SBDC, the SBA, other community partner lenders with CIC in Tucson and growth partners and local first. So we're excited. It's a small group, but we wanted to get this webinar out in front of you so you knew how to leverage this program, the SSBCI program, and the different steps that are there and what the participating lenders are looking for, and the venture capital component as well. So in this, we're not going to dive in. A number of you I've talked to about the SSBCI Technical Assistance Program. We're not going to dive into that. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me directly. We haven't issued the RFPs yet, so we are free to talk to you about it. Once those go out, we can't really chat with anybody. So I'm more than happy to chat one-on-one about the SSBCI Technical Assistance piece. But today we're going to focus on the big arch overall SSBCI program when it comes to the funding piece. So real quick, I just want to remind everybody, and most of you know about these programs, the Small Business Boot Camp. We still do it every Tuesday morning. It's going strong. We just had a great session on generative AI with Botco. They did a great job sharing how they are using it for their products and how businesses can use it to market better. We also have our small business checklist for those when you're working with people to help get started. And then also a new program just to remind everybody, it's still there, still growing, and still getting tweaked to be better, is the Arizona Business One Stop. That's bringing all the different agencies together to create a central portal to help businesses get started in one place instead of having to go to 3 or 4 different agencies to get started. So with that, we'll go to the next slide and turn the time over to Matt to get this going.
Robert. Good morning, everyone. I'm Matt Bolin. I am the Arizona Commerce Authority's SSBCI Program Manager. So what is SSBCI? The state Small Business Credit Initiative was first created in 2010 under the Small Business Jobs Act in response to the decimation of the small business community during the Great Recession. Congress created this as a way to reinvigorate the small business community with the use of public funds, aiming to catalyze private investment with the support of public funds. In 2021, after COVID-19, Congress reauthorized SSBCI, so we're in SSBCI 2.0. This round, we're given 4 times the amount of funding. There's $10 billion allocated for 2.0. The program is administered by the Treasury, again, aiming to catalyze private investment with the use of public funds, strengthening state programs that already exist, or creating new. States are given the autonomy to create programs that they see best fit. And the program has as its target businesses and enterprises owned and controlled by what's called SEDI, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Excuse me. Albert, if you can move to the next slide. For Arizona's programs, we're allocated $111 million, calculated by the reported job loss by the state relative to the aggregate national job loss. We've created 3 programs to deliver these funds. We have a loan guarantee program. The loan guarantee program provides a 50% collateral guarantee to our partnering CDFIs in the case of default by the borrower. We have 3 CDFIs who are on this call, which are the total that we're currently partnered with: Clearinghouse, Lendistry, Prestamos. They'll each be talking here shortly. And then we have 2 venture capital programs as well. A co-invest program, which are direct equity investments alongside VC firms, angel investors, corporate VCs, and others. And then we've got a multi-fund venture capital program, which are equity investments made by larger fund managers that our implementing entity, Arizona Venture Development Corporation, chooses to invest in. Next slide. A little bit duplicate here, but loan guarantee program, again, we've partnered with 3 CDFIs to administer the program. They are given full autonomy on their underwriting guidelines as long as they adhere to the SSBCI program guidelines. Makes it a little bit easier for them to work and get the funds out. And then again, our focus are those socially and economically disadvantaged individuals and very small businesses, 9 employees or fewer. And with that, I think we'll hand it over to Lendistry, Rucker.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. So my name is Rutger Choke-Wonka. I am the VP Business Development Manager here at Lendistry. Lendistry is a minority-led fintech, a CDFI, so we leverage our technology to push forward fast decision-making. We have an online application, online portal, everything's done virtual and online. We are a nationwide lender. We're happy to start working with Arizona. We've been working with other states with their SSBCI program, and we're very happy and eager to join for Arizona to join that repertoire of ours. So Lendistry, where we sit, we do loans anywhere from $50,000 all the way up to $5 million. We have a maximum term of 5 years, and our interest rate is going to be variable based on the Wall Street Journal Prime. We have various different loan products, such as a term loan. We can do a non-revolving line of credit. We can also take a look at commercial real estate transactions. Whether you're looking to, expand your small business or do a business acquisition or even purchase equipment or working capital, Lendistry has a great platform that is able to provide capital by leveraging this SSBCI program. So we really have a wide variety of loan products, and our niche is really going to be a lot of the loans, $50,000 minimum up to that $5 million max. And so that's pretty much Lendistry in a nutshell. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Lisa from Clearinghouse.
Thank you, Rutger. My name is Lisa Vanella, and I am the Arizona specialist for Clearinghouse CDFI. We are a nationwide CDFI. We specialize in several states along the West Coast, and Arizona is my territory. I've been lending in Arizona for over 25 years, a lot of small business lending, and we're pretty excited about being part of this program. We specialize specifically in real estate lending. So where we might differ from Lendistry and Prestamos, who might be able to take UCC filings, equipment, work with working capital, we are specific to real estate financing. We can do acquisition, we can do renovations, expansion, but it has to be, our collateral has to be commercial real estate. Our niche is 500,000 up to about 15 million. We are a full underwriter. We don't, I always tell everyone that we're kind of in between the conventional banks and hard money. But we do full underwriting. We are very hands-on. We look at each package individually. We're a small, tight group, so if there's any pain points up front, we go directly to our chief credit officer and work through those things. And I would say with this program, I think that you know, where we might have some pain points that our community partners can help us with is helping those small businesses get a package ready. So many times we see the packages come in where they don't have pro formas, they don't have, you know, kind of an executive summary of who, what, where, when, why. And those are some things that we do ask for up front. But other than that, we're excited to be able to help with the small businesses. You know, we're looking at this program through a lens of whether or not some of those loans that would be on a borderline of what we would do or not, where this guarantee would be like, yes, we will do it. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure we'll have time at the end, but that's pretty much it. I'll turn it over to Mark at Prestamos.
See, Mark, are you there? Can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you, Mark.
Find it.
There we go.
How about now? Awesome.
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Rutger and Lisa. Appreciate, you know, your guys' insight and what you do. But definitely, you know, another, as a CDFI in the community, we've been in the community as Chicanos por la Causa and as Prestamos, a division of CPLC, but for over 50 years now in the Arizona community, and now expanding into surrounding states. We cover Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, and now soon to be California. But as a CDFI, you know, I really kind of like to see ourselves as a mission-based lender and really focused on the small business community. Unlike Lisa and Rutger, you know, our programs will go minimum from 5,000 up to about $1 million, sometimes a little bit more. We are a collateralized lender, and we will be looking at collateral. We do use real estate, probably one of our strongest forms. We do use manufacturing equipment or other, you know, heavy equipment items, transportation like trucks and whatnot. And, you know, so under our programs, you know, we do have various programs under the lending part. We have a SBA micro loan program. We have our own private pool loan lending. And then we also do the SBA Community Advantage. It's a 7A loan where the Small Business Administration offers guarantees in that program. But here for the SSBCI and being a part of this program, as Lisa mentioned, this is definitely going to help those scenarios with the businesses that have the shortfall in collateral. You know, as a CDFI lender, we kind of like to see ourselves as the bridge for startup businesses or businesses that are challenged with credit, cash flow scenarios that otherwise won't have the opportunity to get normal retail lending financing. And that's kind of where we play a role in that and kind of bridging that gap to get people to a place where they can turn to their bank to get that financing. And there's, you know, and we cover many different facets of industry. You know, often we're asked, you know, what our niche client is, but, you know, we really focus on those clients that are challenged. And it doesn't matter what industry we're looking at. We want to see all businesses. But really, you know, again, I think just as probably a compliment, you know, to Rutgers, to Lendistry and Clearinghouse, you know, certainly, and knowing now, Lisa, you guys just work, you know, solely in real estate. That's opportunity for me to kind of also find opportunity and things that we can do to seek you out under that as well. But so we're excited. We're excited, and thank you for having us here. And at the end of the discussion, at the end of this program, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have for us. But thanks again, and I'll leave it at that, and on to the next.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting us to be here as well. I'm Stephanie Sims, representing Arizona Venture Development Corp., which we call AVC. And I'm going to do something just a little bit different because I think that a lot of people have a good handle on lending as an approach to getting funding to early stage businesses. But I know a lot of people don't necessarily understand the venture capital world as well. So what I'd like to do is spend just a little bit of time today talking a little more about what venture capital is and helping everybody, the partners and everybody else, understand who of your clients might or might not be a fit for venture capital so that we can make sure that we're all connecting to each other in a way that's meaningful. So Albert, maybe we can go ahead and move forward. There we go. Thanks. So real quickly, as Matt mentioned earlier, AVC is managing the venture capital investments of the SSBCI funding. What we want to do is invest in exceptional entrepreneurs with a focus on underrepresented entrepreneurs, and we want to catalyze more private investment in Arizona. So it's not just about investing in these companies through the SSBCI, but we co-invest, meaning alongside other investors, so that more investors are getting experience with Arizona companies and more capital is actually reaching these founders who may have not been represented or been able to access that capital in the past. Obviously, the ultimate goal of this is to build very strong companies, just like everybody else here, that can then fuel economic growth and create more jobs here in Arizona. We can move to the next slide. Thanks. So as we think about venture capital, I think it's really helpful to understand where and when entrepreneurs might need money, because venture capital plays a different role in the ecosystem than a lot of the lending that you may all be familiar with. So if you think about on this bottom axis time, right, as an entrepreneur goes from an idea through the development of their business, getting new clients, developing their offering, finally finding what we call product market fit, which is basically where they can repeatably sell their offer. Then they move into sort of scale and maturity further out in time. The challenge for a lot of companies is that when they're in what we call the valley of death, that period between their idea and actually finding a repeatable sales process, there's often not a lot of options for them in terms of funding because they're not making a profit. And so I know that some of our partners here will be able, based on maybe personal assets or other collateral, to assist in that period. But if we want to think about venture capital as one of the principal ways that period of non-profitability can be funded, that can be an instructive way to think about it. So maybe let's move to the next slide and let's talk about the differences between VC backable, venture capital backable companies, and other businesses that might be good candidates for lending, for lending products. What you've got here is you've got, sorry, my allergies are acting up today. What you've got on the left side are a few examples of venture backable companies. And then on the right side, you see companies that might be more appropriate for a traditional lending product or for some of the CDFI products that we've heard discussed here today. One of the key differences between a company that might be a good fit for venture capital and a company that would be a better fit for a lending product is their growth potential, meaning how big the company can become, and the business model that they're pursuing. So a lot of times you'll notice here that several of these, in fact, I'm looking, all of the companies that we have as examples for venture backable companies have a software or technology component to them. That's part of what makes their business model so scalable, because as they start to reach additional customers, they're not necessarily having to bring on additional support in the form of human resources to continue to grow quickly. right? Thanks to their technology program, to their technology platforms, they're able to scale and to grow much more quickly. One other thing that kind of distinguishes a venture backable company from a company that might be a better fit for lending is also that they usually have relatively high gross margin and correspondingly relatively high profit, net profit margins. And so that's one of the ways that you could start to think about the distinction between a business that might be a good fit for venture capital and a business that might be a better fit for the lending programs that we've talked about today. Can we move forward, Albert? So a lot of times when we think about venture capital versus lending, it might not be clear exactly what the differences are in those two approaches to funding a business. And so I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about that. I feel like everybody understands how debt works. It's where somebody is basically giving a sum to the entrepreneur right now with some sort of plan to reimburse it. Those plans can be flexible, but essentially the relationship is just a contractual one where once the loan has been paid back, the bank and the entrepreneur, or the lender and the entrepreneur, can go their separate ways and don't necessarily continue to have a relationship. The difference between that type of relationship and an equity relationship is that when a venture capital firm makes an investment into a company, that investment remains in the company until the point in time where the company is sold, because of the fact that the venture capital investor, alongside other investors, is an actual owner of parts of the company. Okay, now this can look differently depending on whether the investor is an angel investor, whether they're a venture capital investor, or they're a private equity investor. But that's the key difference here, is that it's kind of till exit do you part when you're thinking about an equity investment, whereas with a debt product, once the loan's been paid back, if those two parties choose not to have another relationship or to continue their relationship, they're both free to do that. So I just want us to all keep that in mind. Maybe we could move to the next slide. And I jumped into this a little bit early, but let's think about what venture capital is. And you know that it's an ownership, right? So it's making an investment in a company in exchange for partial ownership of the company. But it's really focused on high growth startups that have the ability to take that capital and to use it to scale their business quickly and profitably. It's key to understand, like we said, that this is a long-term investment, but because there's additional risk involved in this investment, the return expectation is significantly higher than what we would expect with a lending product. So generally, venture capitalists are targeting between 25 to 30% return. There's a typo on the slide, sorry about that. 25 to 30% returns, and they won't expect to see those returns for somewhere between 5 to 7 years. Most venture capital investments are very high risk and very high reward. And the thing to keep in mind is that most of the investments that are made as a venture capitalist will ultimately not provide a significant return because of the fact that they are high risk and we're expecting them to be high reward. So we talked a little bit, oh, go ahead. If we could just stay on that slide for 1 second, Albert. Yeah, we talked a little bit about the fact that we own equity as an exchange for the investment that's being made. But I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there is a certain type of company that is a really good fit for this type of capital because of the fact that it happens pre-break even and pre-profitability. So I think that's another factor that's important to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and move forward. Thanks, Albert. So because of this high risk and high reward profile, venture capital is not a great fit for most companies. In fact, if you think about 100 companies that might pursue venture capital, they might be out there talking to angel investors, venture capital firms, et cetera. Of those 100 companies, there's probably only 30 of them that will have the opportunity to discuss their investment opportunity or to discuss their investment request with an interested investor. Of those 30 companies, once the questions have been asked and the discussions have advanced a little bit, there's probably only 10 of those companies that will get further attention in the form of what we call screening. This means doing some preliminary due diligence and really trying to understand where the company is at. Of those 10, probably only 2 companies will receive offers for investment and move into the formal due diligence process. And only 1 of those companies will ultimately get funding. And I just want to be clear, when I'm talking about this is not just an AVC thing. This is just generally how the venture capital world works. And so you can see that if 100 companies start the process and only 1 ultimately gets funded, we want to be sure that the folks who start the process are a good fit so that they have a better shot at being the company that gets funded. Okay, maybe we can move forward to the next slide, Albert. So let's think a little bit, and I alluded to this previously, but let's think a little bit about the factors that are the most important to investors, so that as you're talking to the companies who might come your way who think that they want venture capital, you can sort of help guide them in their thought process to see if they really should pursue some sort of equity investment. So the top 3 factors that really play a role in venture capital and an equity investor's minds are, first off, the team. So is this an experienced team that understands this problem and that has significant either domain expertise or technical expertise that would allow them to develop a unique and innovative solution to the problem? So team is very, very important. The second element that's also crucial is the timing relative to the competitive market that this company is going to be playing in. So sometimes you could have a very innovative solution like flying cars, for example, that right now are just not going to be adapted by the market, because there's other elements like infrastructure, like security, regulations, that would not allow that solution to be commercializable, in the very near future, right? So that would be an example of a company that might be too early. Likewise, if you have a company that is solving a problem that already has a lot of other people trying to solve the problem in the same way, that company might be a little bit too late in getting to market, which would make them also a less attractive investment. So timing is another essential element. And then the third element that I think is most important to think about is the potential size of the market. So when you think about who the potential customers of this company could be, they need to understand clearly who the customer is. They need to have a very compelling value proposition for those customers. And they need to know, the entrepreneurs themselves need to know how they're going to get to those customers. For example, some sort of clear indication that they've had success connecting with those customers, talking to them, and demonstrating the value proposition is going to make them a more attractive proposition, more attractive investment opportunity for venture capitalists. Obviously, as you can see over here on the right-hand side, the weaker that startups may be in these different elements, the harder it's going to be for them to obtain equity investment. There are other factors which we won't go into right now, but happy to answer questions about those if you guys have questions about who might be a good fit or what would make a company venture backable. Let's go ahead and move forward, and we're almost done. I just want to give you guys some examples in addition to the ones that we looked at before. It's important to think about the ultimate goal of these companies as you're talking to them and trying to understand if they might be a fit for a venture. So you can see here a list of the top 5 most valuable VC-backed companies, and you can see that a lot of these have had multiple investors participate. So the other thing to keep in mind is that when someone makes a choice to obtain equity investment, more often than not, it does not just happen once. It happens over time in what are called multiple rounds of financing. And so you want to be thinking about, how does this entrepreneur perceive the growth of their business? Are they really looking to build a business that would require, on a continuing basis, significant capital? And do they really have that ambition to become sort of a category dominating company? Because that, again, is another important factor. We can move to the last slide, and then I'll turn it back over. Really quickly, as Matt mentioned early on, AVC makes investments in two ways. The way that we've all been talking about here would be through our co-invest program, where essentially we invest directly into companies alongside other qualified investor partners. So those are probably that's the program that you would more likely have folks that could be candidates for. We also have an investment where we invest as a limited partner, meaning as a non-active participant, into another venture capital fund that then makes investments into startups. And so it's two ways for us to be able to catalyze capital here in Arizona, specifically with that focus on underrepresented and VSB, very small business entrepreneurs. So happy to take any questions, and I know we have other things to do before we get there, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. Thank you for your partnership. And if there are what questions you have about venture capital that you want to take offline, I'd be happy to talk to you. Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, what Stephanie said, we appreciate your time here today, kind of bringing everybody together in one virtual room, if you will, and kind of get the ball rolling here on SSBCI. I did want to introduce myself alongside with Matthew and Robert. We developed this presentation here with our CDFIs and AVC as well. I am the SSBCI TA manager, and I know that technical assistance, like Robert had mentioned, is in the works right now. So we do have RFPs that are going to be going out here soon. And he is more than happy to take any questions now or later for what that's going to look like, because once those go out, then we cannot talk with anyone at that time. So I'm also glad to be in on those calls as well. We do have some contacts here on this slide for some of the individuals that presented here today. I apologize again, Stephanie. I slipped my mind here.
No worries.
If you can provide that in the chat, that would be fantastic for our community partners. If they'd like to reach out to you. We do also have our CDFIs, myself, Robert, and Matthew as well. If you'd like to reach out to us at any time, we can be the bridge to any newly formed relationship here, so we can again serve those that we this program is meant to be for. Let me see. I don't think we have any questions. Thank you, Mark, for placing your contact info there as well. I think I put Juan's contact information there. Matthew, Robert, do you have any further things you'd like to say before? I think we might jump out of here a little bit early. Not that anybody's arguing with that here.
No, we just want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, please throw them in the Q&A. It helps us track them better. Definitely want to answer some questions. I'm sure some of you may have it. I do want to reiterate that the SSBCI program, the goal is to get people funded. And so with our CDFIs that are participating on the debt piece, the businesses are going to apply for a standard loan first. They're not going to apply directly for an SSBCI backed loan. The goal is to get them in a regular business loan if we can. And then if not, then the SSBCI might come into play. And those CDFIs will work with those clients to do that application for SSBCI debt guarantee. Just want to remind everybody of that piece. So let's see, we have one question. It says, what can non-members of the SSBCI do to support the CDFIs that are currently in the program? So that sounds like it'd be for the CDFIs. Any questions from Mark or Rutger or Lisa on that? On how can a non-participating SSBCI or lender help support the SSBCI lenders? And Andre, who asked that question, is the director of Growth Partners.
Oh, hi, Andre. I would say, definitely refer the people over to us and let us, give us a try and see what we can do. We need referrals on this program. just as much as we're out there seeking, loans for this program. So I would say referrals, and then I kind of go back again to any type of technical assistance you can provide to them that gets them ready with a loan package. Again, we see a lot of small business owners that maybe don't have the knowledge to put together a pro forma, things like that. If you can be a resource to direct them to the other community partners that can help them bring a good package together, it will go so much smoother. Thanks for asking, Andre.
Yeah, for the non-participating SSBCI lenders that are with us, is if you have those businesses that don't quite qualify under your guidelines, then yeah, please get with one of these 3 CDFIs. And we are also, I believe, looking at expanding from just the 3 to a few more. There's some hurdles we have to jump over to do so, but we're setting those up and trying to jump them, I believe. If they don't qualify for yours directly, then the SSBCI may be that opportunity for them to get that funding they need. And I know with some of the lenders on here, they're do a lot of micro loans, so that could be a great opportunity for those small businesses to get some funding. Any other questions? I mean, we got time, but we're also definitely willing to give you some time back.
Mark, did you want to jump on? I think I know you're having some microphone issues here, but we can't hear you if you're trying to. Maybe it's one of those microphones where you got to bend the cord at like a 90-degree angle and then it works for whatever reason. See, give him an opportunity to see if he can get his.
Are you able to hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay. You see, you can hear me, but now I can't hear you. But now that you can hear me, I can just to add to Lisa, she was talking about, again, the referral piece of it, and really identifying and understanding, I think, a little bit about the SSBCI program, and understanding the guidelines around that program is going to be important as well, and qualifying those businesses. So we work in an environment where already, we deal with a lot of the demographic that fit those guidelines under the SSBCI program. Women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, businesses that are in certain opportunity zone areas, things of that nature. But I think the biggest thing here is that guarantee component, right? The 50% guarantee component in terms of shortfall of collateral. And if you come across those scenarios, definitely we want to see if there's opportunity for us to assist in any way we can. And going back to, again, to some of the differences and some of I think the highlights of what we do as Prestamos, and kind of really identifying credit challenged businesses. Of course, the shortfall collateral, this is going to help, but capacity and cash flow challenge businesses as well. We'll go, typically in a retail lending scenario, banks are looking for credit 650, and maybe even now, people are tightening the belt a little bit in this environment. People want to see 670. I'm seeing some of my commercial banking partners that I'm talking with. So that, I think, is another opportunity to identify other businesses out there. There's credit challenges, so things of that nature that we're always looking to see the story behind some of the challenges that small businesses are faced with. So, but yeah, no, we want to talk to anybody we can, and please don't hesitate to really let us identify whether there's opportunity there. If you feel that there is opportunity, just send them our way. We'd be more than happy to talk to them.
Thank you, Mark. Danny asked a question in the chat, so I wanted to respond to that. CIC does some alternative approaches to lending for small businesses in their area. And Danny, on the SSBCI, we're pretty limited on how how the program works based on what the agreement was with Treasury. So I would encourage you to reach out to Matthew and look at seeing if the programs you have might be able to work with that as well. And then Kevin also made a comment that's real important to make sure everybody recognizes is in every county of the state is covered with this, but the SBDC, your local SBDC office, can help with that business planning, put the loan package together and so forth. So you have a business that's in that situation, your local SBDC can help with that. They most all of them, I think all of them have Live Plan, which does a great job of putting together a business plan through some simple, easy to answer questions and numbers. So it can be a great resource. So it looks like that's all the questions we have for now. And again, you have our contacts. Most of you know how to get a hold of me as well. I can get you connected with Albert and Matt and Mark and Lisa and Rutger and Stephanie as well if needed. So thank you for joining us. Again, for those looking at the technical assistance piece, reach out to Albert and myself and we can walk you through more how we're thinking that program may work once we get the final approval from Treasury. And as soon as we do on that, the RFPs will go out. So that's about it for today. Thank you for being with us. And again, if you have any questions, you have our contact. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.